What's up, Sneaky Nation? Sneaky P here, back with all the news after week number 4 of the preseason here in our Tennessee Titans franchise. That is right, the preseason is over, and the Titans failed to pick up a victory. Definitely not where we wanted to be after the preseason. You know, an 0-4 start definitely doesn't look good. Now, we do have some positives to take from the preseason. The last 2 games, our defense really started to step up. Our offense, though, is just really not clicking right now. You know, we can move down the field sometimes, but we're not getting a lot of those big plays needed to succeed in the NFL. And that definitely worries me as we are entering the regular season now. It's not going to be an easy task. So I'm looking at the game prep here, and unfortunately, it looks like the game prep is the same. This is all we have to choose from here. We no longer can select a player, meaning if we really want to get the experience, we're going to have to do in-game drills. So what I might do is record this after and then maybe edit it in to this video. I'm not quite sure how I want to go about doing this yet. This would obviously be the best way to get our players to where we would like them to be. But I think doing that in this news video would create it to be way too long. I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna take that yet. So if you guys have any suggestions as to what you guys would like to see, please let me know. Obviously, I'm gonna have to take the time to do that. I hope it's not too long because I really don't want it to kind of drag out at all. We'll see what happens though. Anyway, next up we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We get our season going in Raymond James Stadium, so we will be on the road. In fact, I think our second game is on the road as well. Before we do that, let's go ahead and upgrade Marcus Mariota though. Definitely need to focus on that and make sure that we're putting these points to good use. As you can see, the points, really we didn't get a whole lot to work with. Trying to decide where to go early on. You know, accuracy is very, very important. I kind of feel like getting his awareness up is going to be key though. Granted, if I'm being the quarterback, it might not play as big of a role. So for now, I think we're going to start off doing short throw accuracy, which we only have enough to do 1 point. I mean, we really can't do much at all right now. And that's kind of the downside. We can actually move awareness up 1 as well. That's the downside. You know, we're really not getting a whole lot of points from those pre-game prep things, and that's a little worrisome. Everybody else, we're just going to continue to save some points for right now. Over time, we will get more going. Now, I did some research, and apparently we cannot scout anybody until after week 3, which is fine. But scouting is going to be a huge part of these news videos. I'm going to be doing all of it every single week on camera. And because I can't do it this week, we don't have quite as much to talk about. We can still look over the transactions, see what trades are made. Obviously, a lot of players have been cut and so on. And Quentin Coples got traded to the Cardinals. And that is a huge pickup for the Cardinals. They have a pretty good young defenses already. So adding a guy like Coples to that's only going to make them better. Very interesting move. Then the Cardinals turned around and traded Watford to the Raiders, picking up a 4th-round draft pick as well to kind of replace that 3rd. So they kind of dropped around to pick up Coples. I think it was a good move on the Cardinals' part there. McDonald got traded to the Bears for a 4th-round draft pick, and Wilson here. Scrolling through any other big moves, Vinny Curry traded to the Jaguars. All right, that's an interesting one. Eagles getting another pick to, you know, probably draft an Oregon player or something like that. I don't know. Ahmed Brooks did get traded to the Buccaneers. Okay, that's an interesting move, and the 49ers are going to get a 3rd-round pick for him. 3rd-round pick for Brooks at that stage in his career is very good value if I were to say anything about that. Pretty interesting move there. Scrolling through, the Jets traded. Okay, so they traded Corey Lemon too. Very interesting. The Niners are kind of stocking up on some draft picks here. They did get a middle linebacker from that trade, which they traded a 3rd-round pick to do that. So they traded their 2017 3rd-round pick. They picked up a 2016. Wait, where was that? Where am I missing it? Yeah, 2016. And in fact, they both 2016. So they're going to have 3 3rd-round picks this year. And the 49ers are usually pretty good with drafting. 2nd-round pick. Oh, that's us. We knew about that. Ha! Never mind. So we know about the rest of the trades there. Again, can't do any scouting. We can check out the news, though. We should have a draft story or 2. Let's go ahead and find out. Let's check this out really quick. Draft stories. All right. Centennial Woods is hoping to use his great agility to transition from soccer for Michigan State to playing football as a running back. Very interesting. Matt Miller says he has great change of direction speed. If he can just bulk up a bit, he'd be a great NFL running back. All right, so this is a guy that could be a steal. Usually if a guy is transitioning over, they're not going to be very good right off the bat, but they could have a lot of potential. You know, he's an athlete. We know this. So that's a guy that we're going to have to kind of take a look at for a later round pick. I know Madden has promoted the late round drafting this season is going to be a lot different. It's going to be a lot better. You're going to be able to find some big steals in the later rounds. And, you know, that's just kind of a sign that we're just going to have to check this running back out. You know, he could be a guy who might not contribute right away, but down the road, he's going to be a good player. It's pretty cool. You can kind of see our upcoming schedule here, our standings down here. Now, the AFC South is going to be a tough division. Obviously, the Colts are the team to beat. The Texans, probably that number 2 spot. Us and the Jaguars is probably going to be back and forth to see who can get that 3rd spot. We're going to need to step it up big time, though, because if our preseason is any indication of things, we're looking at the number 1 pick in the draft, which I wouldn't hate, but I definitely don't want to have that bad of a season either. I think we're good there. So all we need to do is check out the Buccaneers lineup. You know what? Let's change the... I actually don't really feel like I need to change the sliders. We do need to change the settings. I did look for a slider set, by the way, and none of them have really been posted yet. You know, everybody's still kind of playing around with the sliders themselves. Right now, I feel pretty comfortable with what we have. Somebody said I might need to start using defensive players to kind of counterbalance the QB accuracy for the opponent. Something I struggled with non-stop throughout Madden 15. So if I do need to start using defense, I will. I'll just kind of play that by ear, see what happens, see what I feel like I need to do. Let's go ahead and check out the depth chart over here for the Buccaneers. See what we got coming up. Obviously, it's going to be a battle, like right off the bat. It's a battle of the number 1 and number 2 overall pick. That's awesome. Jameis Winston, here you are, week number 1. We are meeting up. Mike Glennon, a player I like a whole lot, is going to be his backup at running back. Doug Martin and Bobby Rainey, 2 good players there. Had a little bit of a down year last year, Doug Martin did, so it'll be interesting to see if he rebounds this year. Javorsky Lane going to be a fullback for them. Wide receiver, they have Mike Evans, one of the best young wide receivers in the NFL, and he is definitely a threat. Not to mention you're going to throw Vincent Jackson next to him, and that's a duo to be scared of right there, especially with our corners. You know, they don't necessarily have the experience to kind of keep up with these guys, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Lewis Murphy Jr. going to be the 3rd string there. Then Marcus Wilson, who they picked up in a trade that we saw. Pretty interesting storyline to follow there. Luke Stocker going to be their number 1 tight end. Then they have Seferian Jenkins as their number 2 tight end there. Left tackle is going to be Dotson. Logan Mankins, a very good left guard for him there. Evan Smith at center. Right guard, you have Omame. Sorry, I'm really bad at pronouncing names if you didn't know that. And Pomfile. Again, bad with names. Sorry. Overall, their offensive line is really not all that great, though. And that does not spell good news for a young quarterback like Jameis Winston or even Doug Martin, who's trying to have a bounce-back year. Left end, they're going with Smith. Not a great option there. George Johnson at right end, again, not a really good option. They do have Gerald McCoy anchoring that defensive line, but he is going to need some help. Henry Melton should help out with that some. Ahmed Brooks, picked up in the trade from the 49ers, going to take over that left outside linebacker spot. Kind of interesting that they're moving on from Bruce Carter, who's actually rated a little bit better. I don't know why they would give up a 3rd-round pick for a guy like Brooks when they have another younger, better player in Carter. But Brooks is a very good veteran, and he's capable of making plays, and that's probably what they brought in. You know, they needed a veteran to help get this defense in line. Levante David's definitely going to help out with that as well. A little bit of a hothead, but he is a great player and somebody to keep an eye on. Alteron Werner, a huge player here for the Buccaneers, and one of the guys we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on. Obviously, he is familiar with our system. Not so much the system, I suppose, but some of the players on the Titans, as he was a Titan. Jonathan Banks is going to be his backup, and then we have Sterling Moore, as well as Leonard Johnson rounding out that crew. Chris Conte is going to be the free safety here. Tandy, his backup, and at strong safety, you have McDougald. So pretty interesting team here. You know, I definitely feel like we can take advantage of that defense. They have a few players capable of making plays, but overall, you know, they've got a lot of holes that we should be able to exploit. This is definitely going to be a matchup of two of the worst teams in the NFL from last year, hence the number 1 and number 2 pick. But it could kind of be a sign of things to come. Which team had the better offseason? And how's that going to affect us as we move forward, guys? Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please smash that like button. It helps me out a lot. And I will see you guys in week number 1 as we take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Later. Alright, I'm adding this in after. As you can see, we ran the drills. I don't think it'd be too interesting to watch. It would get very repetitive very quickly, so I'll just post it here for now. Let me know what you think.